This is Banza Academy. Today we will familiarize ourselves with the new requirement elicitation technique. Let's talk about questionnaire. Suppose you need to collect data from a large number of people, a really large number. Questionnaires, also known as surveys, are an effective method of gathering information in business analysis. It allows you to obtain systematic and structured information from a large group of people in a relatively short period of time. Two main types of questions are used in the survey process, each with its advantages and purposes. Closed-ended questions. In this case, the respondent is asked to choose an answer from a predetermined list. This may be a yes or no answer, a choice of several options, a ranking ordering, or an assessment of the degree of agreement. Closed-ended questions are particularly useful when the expected range of responses from users is well defined and understood. Such questions have the advantage that answers can be more easily analyzed because numerical coefficients can be associated with the answer choices selected. Open-ended questions. Here, the respondent is asked to freely formulate answers to the questions, not limited to selecting from a predetermined list. Open-ended questions are useful when problems or ideas are known, but the expected range of user responses is not defined. This type of question allows for more detailed and varied responses, exceeding the breadth and depth of closed questions. The choice between closed and open-ended questions depends on the context and goals of the study. Closed-ended questions offer ease of analysis and quantitative data, while open-ended questions offer a more flexible and qualitative approach with the possibility to obtain additional information that cannot be covered by predefined answer options. Using a combination of the two types of questions can provide a more comprehensive and informative picture of the requirements and opinions of users or respondents. When asking questions, it is important to be neutral and not influence respondents' answers. Use clear and unmistakable language. Avoid assumptions, estimates, and implied answers. Neutrality allows for objective and realistic answers. Clarity helps respondents express their opinions and viewpoints freely. Questionnaires can be administered through various channels, such as telephone, email, and face-to-face meetings. However, the most convenient way, in our opinion, is to collect responses through special online forms. They provide ease of use and often include built-in analytical capabilities. A successful survey requires a target response rate and a timeline for obtaining a sufficient number of responses. It is important to determine an acceptable response rate, as well as to determine when the survey should be completed or considered finished. If the actual response rate is below the established threshold, the use of the survey results may be limited. When designing the questionnaire, it is recommended to start with simple and neutral questions that help to establish a positive and cooperative atmosphere. These questions create a psychological attitude of cooperation and improve interaction with respondents. Complex questions that require analysis, reflection, and memory activation are recommended to be placed in the middle of the questionnaire. This allows respondents to get used to the process, prepare for more demanding questions, and give deeper and more thoughtful answers. When formulating questions, it is important to make sure that each question meets its purpose and has a clear and unambiguous wording. It is not advisable to combine two or more questions into one question to avoid confusion and mixing answers. Think carefully about each question, what it's for, whether it's unambiguous, and how exactly it will help the project. To be sure about the questionnaire, we advise you to perform usability testing. It helps you identify flaws in the structure and design of the questionnaire, as well as identify opportunities to improve its effectiveness and user satisfaction. Errors discovered during the testing process can be corrected, and improvements can be made to ensure a smoother and more effective questionnaire experience. At the end of the questionnaire, it is also important to thank the respondent for their time and the valuable information they provided. This emphasizes appreciation for their participation and helps create a positive impression of the collaboration. We recommend explaining the purpose of the survey to the participants. This helps them better understand why their opinions and answers are valuable to the study or project. It also helps create a sense of collaboration and involvement as they realize they are working with you on a common goal. In addition to explaining the purpose of the survey, it is also important to clearly and understandably explain the terms of confidentiality and anonymity to participants so that they feel comfortable and confident in protecting their personal information. It is also important to provide an estimated time to complete the questionnaire so that participants can estimate how long it will take them to complete the survey. This will help them plan their time and decide whether to participate. Now it's time to analyze the results. In order to achieve this goal, we will need to perform the following steps. 1. Combine the responses. The collected responses will be combined into a single dataset to ensure the completeness and integrity of the information. 2. Summarize the results. We will analyze and summarize the results to highlight key trends, common opinions, and patterns identified in participants' responses. 3. Evaluate details and identify emerging themes. We will carefully examine each response to capture details, nuances, and potentially important points. In the process of this analysis, we will also identify themes that emerge among participants and related issues. 4. Break down the data into measurable blocks. For convenience and a more systematic approach, we will break down the data into measurable blocks that will allow us to more accurately assess various aspects and indicators related to the survey. Let's summarize and weigh up the advantages and disadvantages of the questionnaire technique. Advantages: doesn't require much time from respondents or you. Can cover a large sample of people. Results are easy to analyze numerically. Disadvantages: clarification of responses from participants may be necessary. Responses may be too few for statistical significance. Limited depth of information. Questionnaires often provide limited depth in terms of the information obtained. Thank you for your attention and see you in the next modules.